I spent the last 6 years researching and working on soft skills. How do we develop these very hard to develop skills in employees? And to me, these are the skills that separate the average from the best, especially in an AI-driven world where we see more and more of the technical tasks, even coding, being replaced with co-pilots. The question is, what are the skills that will help you distinguish? It is skills like communication, collaboration, leadership, empathy. So Dextego, in short, is an AI coaching platform that develops these skills through scenario-based challenges, through simulations, through chat, video, basically interactions that aims to be very personalized to the user's role and industry.
Hi, Ioanna. How are you today?
I'm good, Dan. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. I always love having conversations with you. You're always bright and cheerful and smiley, and I'm expecting an awesome conversation today because last time we spoke, you gave me some thoughts to think about, and so I made a couple of notes of what do I want to talk to Ioanna today about. And I will start with your company. So Dextego, what do you guys do and why?
Yeah, the why is much bigger than the what. So to give some context, I spent the last 6 years researching and working on soft skills. How do we develop these very hard to develop skills in employees where, especially in a remote setting, it's just hard to see them in action. Usually, for instance, if we talk about like sales, you have a rep next to their leader, they'll see how they do in a call, they'll kind of catch up, But when people are remote, it's much harder. And to me, these are the skills that separate the average from the best, especially in an AI-driven world where we see more and more of the technical tasks, even coding, being replaced with co-pilots. The question is, what are the skills that will help you distinguish? It is skills like communication, collaboration, leadership, empathy. So Dextego, in short, is an AI coaching platform that develops these skills through scenario-based challenges, through simulations, through chat, video, basically interactions that aims to be very personalized to the user's role and industry. So it's not the one-size-fits-all, training platform that we're used to. It's really your own personal and professional AI coach that collects data as you use it and as it goes to become even better in time.
So I like that you began the answer with the why is much longer than the what. And you're right. And I find that often when that question is asked to a founder, they'll tell you a whole lot about what it does and how it works. Why does your company matter? If I'm in the market to potentially solve what you solve, why do I care about what you do?
Yeah. Specifically, now I'm talking to sales leaders, right? Because we have focused our use case on sales enablement, but I think, the use cases can be endless with soft skills. I think today we've all seen how hard it's to do outbound, how hard go-to-market has become. And there is a big emphasis on building partnerships, building more of a consultative sales approach, build a trust with the client, get a warm intro. Like it's easier to convert, bottom of the funnel than top of funnel at this stage. So there is a need for SDR and BDR teams to develop these soft skills so that they can become ambassadors of your company. So they don't just take a script and call somebody and get yelled at and then just record that as as an extra touch point. So the problem is that no leader wants their reps to be practicing in front of the client, yet they don't spend the time to deliver personalized one-on-one coaching. So how can we use technology to replace any in-person role plays and any time wasted on ineffective training? We can get internal data, that of the client, so what works for you, your playbook, your best practices, and take external data coming from sales experts that are known for specific things like negotiation, like pricing, etc., and combine all that in one AI coach that understands you, your current level of skills, your coachability, and adjusts to the way you learn. So now you get for like $100 the most effective coach you can have access to, when in person you can't get even 5 minutes from your leader to answer a question. That's why you care about it, because you want to scale your leadership.
So you're solving a problem that I see regularly founders struggle with, which is they don't know how to talk about what they've created in a way that people give a shit about, quite frankly. And I go to a lot of tech events, and they come up to me as, potentially I would invest in their company or help them in some, macro strategic go to market way. And when I say, what do you do? They tell me the what and the how. And I say to them, I don't really care. What I want to know is what's it going to matter to me? How is it going to matter to me? Why I give a shit? So I want to talk about that a little bit with you. You've started a company because there's a huge problem out there that I see regularly. Tell me about your past and why you saw this happening regularly in past companies that you worked for, or even started, or even salespeople that you hire. Let's dig into that a little bit, because that's the meat of the problem right there.
I'll definitely tell you, and I just want to highlight a number, because there might be a listener that loves numbers. There is, in fact, today that we speak, 4 trillion of global sales at risk because of negative interactions that buyers have with sales associates. And that is insane. And I've been the person that doesn't want to take a call with the salesperson, because I'm like, oh, here we go again. They won't understand what I want to do, or they won't listen. They'll just sell me. And it's become, I think, a big problem, because unless you have someone to go to, like a salesperson you trust and know that this company will do the best they can to serve you and satisfy your need, then you're really like buying something blinded. And we know at the end of the day, no matter how nice PLG products are that you can just go on the website and buy, you want to have a human at the other end. So to me, the problem became evident from actually leading sales enablement. I was a VP of people and chief of staff for another startup called Dextego, which is a B2B SaaS revenue AI solution, Series A. And I was in charge basically of creating a lot of training material for them, doing the role plays. And I found myself repeating answers all the time. So I was like, okay, the training is not effective. All technology we have access to, though, is learning management systems, which basically are the one size fits all courses that people have to do during onboarding. But then there's no true continuous coaching, and there's no context in that coaching. Like, I can get the best trainer on planet Earth in a room to teach a bunch of reps, but unless it's at the time of need, when they're about to have a call, when they really care, they won't really remember anything. It won't be sticky. And especially today, people need an extra incentive. So there is a need for gamification in training. So I was thinking of all these components and how adults learn. And I just realized that the tech was not there yet, and want to build something. Gen AI really helps us make this reality. And then you saw probably a boom of tools come out when ChatGPT and all of that came out as well a couple of years ago. To me, though, the gap of soft skills had also a learning angle. So I was thinking that there's a big skills gap when we hire young people that they just graduated and they have no clue how the workplace operates. So I thought that the best way to solve it was actually to go to education and sell this as an edtech platform and help professors put soft skills as part of the core curriculum. Then I realized, there's huge sales cycles, and also a big resistance from higher ed to incorporate AI. And then we shifted to what I mentioned earlier, sales enablement in organizations. But the problem is huge. Whether you tackle it from an education standpoint or workplace, it has to be tackled.
You just reminded me of an email that I received this week. The subject line was, Dan, comma, I'm disappointed in you, exclamation point. And I looked at it on my phone because that's what I have in my hand 23 hours of the day. And I just thought to myself, who would have the balls to write this to anybody, let alone me? And I'm somebody with teeth when I want to show them. And I show them a lot sometimes, actually, I should say. But yeah, so I read on just a little bit to realize how pissed I am at this person. I'm not even going to give them the courtesy of my response, so I didn't. What would you tell that person?
Well, can you tell me what actually it said outside of the subtitle?
The irony is that I didn't read
Oh,
much
okay.
further than that, but I'll tell you what, I could probably find it real fast right now, and we can rip this person a new a-hole. Uh, Disappointed.
I mean, I would be curious to see what it was if I got that.
Here it is. I got it. All right. It said, it was over LinkedIn. I searched for your YouTube channel and noticed your personal brand isn't where it should be. This is a huge loss for the leads, exposure, and impact you could be driving as a founder. We've scaled multiple founders to over 10 million plus views, and our content strategy requires just an hour and a half of your time per week. We take care of everything else. I put a Loom to get video together for you explaining how we do it. But the subject line is, I'm disappointed in you, Dan. And so I will never respond to that person.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either. I would think to myself the audacity, and also who likes to be told what to do. Like the fact that this person doesn't think, okay, how would I react? I mean, if they like to be told what to do, then it's a different question. But the average person doesn't, and let alone from someone who don't even know. Definitely, I see lack of empathy throughout. I mean, throughout sales, you sometimes have a nice discovery call or a nice cold message, but then you end up meeting the person and it's just a facade, right? Like they might sound nice in the message and they might be terrible, or vice versa. Someone might have given them that copy, but then if you met them, they might actually be a nice person that listens to you. But the thing is, it comes from the leader, right? Like this person might be an SDR, for example. They are told to do outreach a certain way. So I think it has to come from the top. And that's why I always say, like, whatever software you're selling, if it's a learning or training program, I think it's 50% on the software company to make it stick enough, nice enough, smart enough. But 50% is on the organization to create a learning culture. I think the same goes for sales. Yes, you need to get revenue, but you also have to teach your organization how to go about it, how to prioritize relationships and sending messages that make sense and not make people feel bad about themselves or angry, because that's the last thing you want your clients to feel, and negative sentiment.
So leadership, you're a leader now, been one for a while, and you wake up every morning thinking, how can I be a better leader? But let's go the opposite route here for a sec. During your career, can you share any examples of what you learned from a leader of what not to do because they were so awful? I got a bunch of those.
Yes. And actually, I'll speak about founders. So in the past, I think you could afford to be one of the three founders: product focus, sales focus, or marketing focus. But today you simply can't, right? A founder really needs to be able to be like a CRO, combine everything, plus be a product owner and really know how everything has to come together, which is very challenging. But these are the tools that work. You can only focus on making a nice product, but nobody will buy, and vice versa. So I think I've met way too many founders that were good at one thing, like genius on the product side, but had no clue what's the value prop, like you said earlier, or very good at sales, but then the moment you go in the platform, there's no user journey. It's like a bunch of buttons, you don't know where to click. So, I'm mentoring also some other startups in a few communities, and I really saw that evidently, but it's also hard to undo. Once you learn one way, like if you're so laser focused in one area, you kind of lose the balance. And I've learned, and I try to every day have a health check of everything. Like, where is your product? Where is sales? Where is marketing? what am I missing? How can I find the balance again? That is one thing. And then there's another one, which if I focus on the founders again, so there is the co-founder divorces that I see left and right because of mission misalignment. So I think what I've learned to do is make sure that I repeat again and again where we're going to all stakeholders, investors, advisors, employees, founders, and make sure they all understand where we're going, or else, especially for talking about employees that are so far away from where the CEO might think they're going, they end up creating a new reality in their head where they think they should be focusing on, and immediately you lose the pace of the company. And it's very hard again, but it is needed that everybody is at the same page, especially at the small startup at the early stages where everybody wears multiple hats and they can impact the roadmap, they can impact the KPIs of the company very fast.
I call that the North Star. I refer to it regularly. It's, you sit down with your leadership team and you figure out where are we headed, what direction are we going in. Let's follow that plan so that we can fulfill that journey to that destination. And we do it as a team and everybody knows exactly what they're doing. I think it's critical. I'm glad you said that, actually. So you look, I've had multiple conversations with you, and every one I'm thinking to myself, this woman is a rock star. She's an incredible salesperson and really smart. I read your posts and they're excellent and thoughtful. You're a really good salesperson. Being a founder is brutal. It's really difficult. And your chances, no offense, your chances of success are very small. You could be a salesperson like you have been in the past, work for a tech startup or for anywhere for that matter and sell whatever you want and be extremely successful. And at 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night, be done and go home and have the weekends to do whatever you want and make a shit ton of money. Why are you putting yourself through the founder hell?
Yeah, the first time I got asked this question, it's like, you're right. Like, there's so many other ways to make money faster, but I don't know any like founder that goes through it only for money. Like, they probably give up the first 3 to 6 months. I think if you're in it, you're in it for a reason, and it might not always be significant. I know people that just like, for instance, the challenge, because there is also an addiction to an adrenaline to the challenge part and the variable reward, right? Like, same again with sales, like you do outreach, you might never hear from anyone, and the next month you get an amazing lead. This thing with startups is like times 100 because it goes throughout the entire company about everything. To me, connecting back to what I said earlier, that I truly think the solution to everything is soft skills. Like, any problem we have in this world, I believe can be resolved by developing people's soft skills. Whether it's a government issue, whether it is no, like poverty, everything can be resolved if we, on a human level, can communicate. There is miscommunication and misalignment and also inefficiency everywhere, all around, at all levels, from the family level, individuals, like relationships, to governments. And till AI bots communicate with each other to agree on anything, and we have to interact, we have to develop this. So I see it not as just, okay, a startup, a company, we make money, we sell it, but as truly an opportunity to impact the world around us for the long term. Humans are still going to be here for a few years at least. We have to make sure we leave this place better than we found it. And that's truly what drives me and why I'm doing it. Although, yeah, to your point, it's super hard, nothing is guaranteed, but it is a big mission that fulfills me personally. And that's why I wake up every day.
Love it. Good for you. I appreciate what you do and respect the effort that goes into pushing through to realize success. So if soft skills is, to your point, an extremely critical skill to have, what interview tactics or questions or approaches are you taking to determine whether that candidate has the soft skills you're looking for?
So I'm a person that has a good memory, and so I don't know how that happened. I think it's from when I was born, but I can remember like literally details about a lot of conversations I had. So if I meet firstly, let's say a candidate today, and then I have a meeting with them 2 weeks after, I will remember what we discussed. I want to know if they will remember something we discussed, not because they have a good memory, but maybe because they jot it down, but because they care. If they don't refer back to anything we discussed, or they don't ask me anything based on that discussion, and it's like we're meeting for the first time, it's a bad sign of active listening skills. That's like number one. That's very easy to pick up, right? Um, the other one, something I look forward to is coachability. So if someone is asking questions about how they can expand in that role, and it's not only, okay, tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it, but they sound curious and they ask questions that show me that they have the interest in learning, then that's a very good sign. And the other big one I always look for is the ability to introduce themselves. When someone is not introducing themselves, it doesn't mean that it's a bad sign, like they can just be an introverted person. But when they introduce themselves in a way that connects with you, means A, that they're truly seeking that connection and they're able to understand what matters to you, which is sign of emotional intelligence. And B, back to the preparedness, like it shows that they've done some research. So again, it shows that they care. And I think all of this combined shows to me that there is likelihood that this person might succeed, no matter the role they're in. And then, after the soft skills, of course, I focus on the technical skills and if they're a good fit for the role. But to conclude, first, active listening, coachability based on interest, and communication skills on how they, and emotional intelligence based on how they introduce themselves here.
So if you hire somebody that you determine after some amount of time that they're probably not the right person, or you inherited that person in a new role, or you come in as the leader and you inherit a team, how long do you give an individual to either get their act together, improve that skill before you just let them go? And this is a question as a startup founder, because you need to be moving at light speed and you don't have any time or money to waste. So at what point do you just cut bait and go?
Yeah, very little. I'm actually known for firing people fast, whether they're employees or advisors or partners. If I see something go wrong, to your point, especially because it's a startup, I know I don't have the time to waste. Um, I will definitely make them aware of the issue and see how they react again. If they show the coachability and the fact that they're open to fixing it, but they just weren't aware, that's one thing. But if I see backlash, like if I know what are you talking about, or any other reaction that doesn't show me it can be fixed, I immediately let them go.
Yep. It's good advice for founders.
It's that, but people change only if they want to. That's why the learning that is sticky is when it's in the context of what the user is trying to achieve.
What's your worst termination ever? What happened? Don't give any names, obviously.
I mean, just straight up telling me that I was wrong, and till the last minute, like yelling, believing that I did something unfair to them, and diminishing, just like saying very bad things to me, trying to make me feel bad, basically. But I was strong and I kept going.
So highs and lows of being a startup or tech startup founder, you experience them all the time. What's your lowest low? Describe to me what was going on there. And then I want to know how you got out of it. So 2-part question.
Wow, lowest low. Not knowing if we have enough money to make, payroll next month. That's the classic one many founders go through. It's so weird because I truly believe if something is meant to be, it will be, and it kind of does. But at the last minute, so it squeezes all your patience till that moment comes. And it's really a test. I truly think these tests founders go through are all about determination at the end of the day. It is really a game of the last man standing, last woman standing. It is just what it is. Like you can be the best of the best in what you do, but there's so many external circumstances that are out of your control, and they just test how much you still want to achieve what you're aiming to achieve. So in these moments, I think it's very important that you have a support network, people in and outside of the company that believe in you, that can also remind you why you started when you yourself cannot see a way out. So having that support network for me was important. Getting encouragement that hey, we're gonna figure out a way, it's gonna be fine. And two, a trick that I do in my head, which has to do with like positive psychology and having a mindset that allows you to count, how many things you're grateful for, which is a classic like prompt for journaling, but it's something I do for the business. Like go back to keep, yeah, these things might not be working, but what we have actually achieved so far with so little has been great. So thinking, okay, now we're going through a hard time, but hey, look at how much we were able to achieve and how many obstacles we were able to overcome in the past. This is going to be one of them too. And it's all going to be part of the journey. So I kind of have to do some storytelling to myself to believe it. And then with the external support, I found the confidence to make it work. And indeed, all turned out fine. But there will never be a thing, a lack of flows. It is just part of the startup world.
Yep. Lows and highs. How do you ride, as I call it, the equilibrium middle path where you got your lows and you're in the toilet during these lows, and then you've got your highs and you're on top of the world. And it's great to celebrate the highs for sure. But as a founder, your roller coaster is constantly going up and down within minutes of each other. How do you balance that? How do you stay sane? And don't say you drink a bottle every night, because
No,
that's not.
no, I don't anyway. But it is the hardest thing. This emotional roller coaster is just so vivid, and it goes so fast that I think you just have to first of all accept it that this is happening. Like it's not something personal. The most same thing as a startup founder that you can do is speak to other founders, recognizing that that is just part of the job. How, to your point, if you're a leader, you're firing, and this is just part of it, you have to understand as a founder, you're just going to go through these highs and lows no matter what you do. And then when it does happen, I think you also have to be humble enough when you're on the high side to recognize that it won't last long, same way as the low won't last long. So nothing is forever, right? And um, checking in with yourself. There's such a need to be self aware in the process, because, yeah, okay, something is going great, but something tomorrow might completely change your plans, and being adaptable is key. So for me, it's just the acceptance part is huge. Like at the beginning, I was fighting it. I'm like, no, why did I do it again? Why did I get so excited and then this happened? Or why am I getting so pissed off when it doesn't really even matter at the grand scheme of things? So accepting it and being kind to yourself as a founder, I think has helped me. And just speaking to others, like having group chats and Slack groups and going to events with other founders to do that realization that it's not you, it's just the process, because it's easy to take it personally. And especially at the beginning, I remember I would go to just like to speak to investors, when it was so early, we hadn't even formed the idea very well, we didn't have a plan. I was kind of testing things as I went, coming up with stuff. And it was very hard because they would ground you real quick. They would tell you things like, why you think you're the one for this? Look at this company, look at that. And being, a female founder, plus an immigrant, plus a first-time founder and CEO, had everything against me. So these were a lot of low moments at the same time. So that's the other part. It's not only high and low, it can be a period of only low and a period of only high. So recognizing what period you're in is important. And now I'll tell you something my mom has taught me when I was young. It's a Chinese proverb that she said, everybody, everybody's life, let's say, is a bag of 10 rocks. Everybody has 5 white and five black, indicating negative and positive moments in their lives. But you might take things out like one white, one black, one white, one black. Me, it'll be all black and then all white, which is why we should never compare ourselves with each other, because at any point in time, it can change. And the same thing goes with being a founder. When you interact with other founders, you should think not about where they're now, but about the collective, where they've been, how they got to where they are, and connecting that level. Or else, I think speaking to founders may actually add to your anxiety because you're like, oh, I have to do that. I didn't think of this. I have to get to that level. So just keep the emotional side of it of, hey, they've been through it, you're going through it, it's going to be okay, just a phase.
It always is just a phase until the next 5 minutes when you get something else. But that's all right. It's why we do it. It makes us tough, right? So you mentioned you talk to a lot of founders, and I know there are lots of networks out there. I'm in several of them. What do you like? What networks are you part of that you'd recommend people go to as a founder to talk to and get to know and learn from and share other founders?
Yes, so I'm part of the 0 to 1 collective from Forum Ventures. This is especially for early stage. It's great. I've met amazing founders there. Be Loud is an accelerator based in Canada, depending on where people are listening from. And then now actually I joined a new one for female founders based in New York called La Crème de la STEM. And it's particularly for female founders, connect with investors and founders themselves. And outside of this, I'm part of some WhatsApp groups, and then I go to a bunch of in-person events. Another amazing community, actually, I had gone to and did an event in the early days is Her Workplace. It's a co-working space focused on female founders and C-suite executives. There's so many. The Knowledge Shop, also in New York. And there is Ports, which is for immigrant founders. These are, the ones I'm the most active at.
Gotcha. That's a lot.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend a week networking with other founders and people that can help you improve your game?
A lot. I try every week, like to meet with stakeholders across the board. So some investors, some clients, some partners, and some founders. And I truly think if you meet founders in your field, but a little later stage, they can help accelerate your journey a ton. Through intros, but also through their lessons learned, right? Like, hey, we tried this good market loss and it didn't work. We tried selling to that persona, or we tried that marketing approach and it worked. So I always appreciate the openness founders have in sharing their journeys.
Yep. I'm involved with 2 founder networks. One is called Dana Startup Labs. It's new. I love it. I love the founders of this founder network. Dina is spelled D-E-N-A if you want to look it up. Those guys are great. And then Gildre, G-I-L-D-R-E. Those guys, I've done a couple of podcasts and workshops for them. I find them to be really helpful, and they care a lot. And look, it's always good for me to give back and help founders, people like you, where if I can give you one bit of advice, I'll do it. If it makes you a little bit smarter.
I
I'm not looking for a compliment, but you know what though? Going through my career for all these years and struggling so many times to try to figure stuff out, if I only had one more or 2 more really good people in my life who I could turn to and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? Sometimes I found myself alone, and I bet you do too. Every now and then you're laying in bed at night and you find yourself alone. Like, what the heck am I going to do? I got to make payroll tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Those are tough moments. You need somebody to call up. Well, I want to be that guy for people where, you know what? Call me. I'll help you. I'll figure out a way to help you through this situation, because I would have appreciated somebody in my life that was able to give back and help me out. So that's always a good thing. How do people get a hold of you? Where do we find you so that we can talk to you and learn from you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. My name, you can find Dextego, dextego.com. That's Dxtego. Fun fact, the name comes from dexterity and ego. But yeah, LinkedIn is the best place. I would say I'm pretty active there.
You do a lot of posting, and I watch a lot of them.
I
I think
try.
you put them out every day. What would be your recommendation for other founders on how to use thought leadership in your efforts?
Yeah, I think personal brand overall is very important nowadays. People love to know, back to the beginning of the podcast, the why, like who's behind the brand. So I truly try to put myself out there as much as I can. My advice is to firstly understand the pillars of topics, like the things you want to be talking about. And they don't all have to be, very professional. If like you have something that you really like you're into sports or whatever, like you can talk about that broadly too, but find the overall like theme and understand your audience, but then have a process to it. So what I do, like let's say I write a blog, I'll then take that blog and cut down in posts, and I will write scripts. Then I can, whenever I have time, I can use to make videos. So try to make it easier for yourself by extending the ways you can use one piece of content. And if you don't have any ideas, because I feel like that's usually the blocker, right? People are like, I know what I want to talk about, but I don't really have any ideas. Just consume a lot of content, like see what others are writing about this and comment with your viewpoint. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to add something? So make it more fun than just, oh, I have to post. I think you just need to create that connection with your audience, that they understand you enjoy what you're talking about and you're not just writing a post so the algorithm likes you.
Many founders would say, Ioanna, I don't have time. Something you said before, I don't have time, which is a BS excuse. You just need to plan your time better. How valuable has all those hours of time that you spend on social media with your thought leadership been to your business and to your personal brand?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's important to say that it's a long-term investment, right? Like for months, you might not see any impact, but now I really do see that whenever I have conversations with people, they refer back to these videos they saw or something we wrote, and especially for Dextego, where now are seen more as the thought leader. That is the key. Many businesses find it very hard, especially as a startup, to be considered a thought leader, because maybe you don't have a bunch of clients or you don't have brand recognition. But the combination of having the founder do thought leadership and then the business also get out there, like with events, in webinars, by getting awards, and we've done all of this, it's adding a lot of credibility and as a result, trust. Like people know what we do before they come talk to us. It's key because it helps you shorten your sales cycle. It helps them make the decision before they speak to you. So I would say it's super valuable.
Love it. You've given a lot of advice to me in this conversation. I appreciate it. I got a ton of notes. In fact, I recorded this conversation so that I could go back to it. But this has been great. We know how to get a hold of you. You're wonderful. And I love that you ride the highs, ride the lows, and just keep pushing through. And I love that you quoted your mom. You're the best.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you. Right back at you. It was lovely chatting, and hope to see you soon in New York.
Well, let me know when you come in because I'll come meet you.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks.